Hi family, welcome back to ladensercrochets. If you're new here, you're welcome. Kindly subscribe and join the family. My name is Liz. In this video, we're going to make a shirt, a mesh shirt, which is collared. And this shirt is unisex. That is the most awesome part about it. It's unisex. So you can make this for a lady or a gent. I hope you're going to enjoy this tutorial. If you do, kindly leave a like, comment, share, and grab those materials so that we can get into the tutorial. I'm working with these two shades. Both of them are medium weight, and this will be my main color, then this will be the contrast color. Then we're going to work with a 5mm crochet hook. We're going to need a pair of scissors, stitch markers, a yarn needle, and a measuring tape. We also need buttons and a sewing needle. We're going to work 3 pieces first before we work the sleeves, and this is the first piece that I'm going to work, and this is the back panel of my shirt. Now, to work the back panel, you need to get your bust measurements and divide it by 2, and when you do, we're going to measure this is the width, which is the half of the bust measurement, and my bust measurement is 36 divided by 2, that's 16, but because I want my shirt to be a bit oversized, I went up to 20, and when you multiply 20 by 2, that gives us 40. So this can fit somebody with a bust between 35 to 40, actually up to 45, depending on the fitting that you want. So if you want it tight and your bust is say 35, you're going to work your shirt while stretching your measurements, like you measure the width when stretching. But in my case, I was supposed to work up to 18, but because I want it oversized, I've worked up to 20 inches. Then we're going to make, so this is, let me show you the complete piece, and I'm working from top to bottom. So the starting chain is the length of the shirt that you want. So the length of my shirt is, let's see, is almost 28 inches, and the width is 20. So you're going to determine the bust measurement divided by 2, then you're also going to get the full length of the shirt that you want. So when you're chaining, you're going to chain to make a chain that will fit the full length. Then I've also worked one of the front panels, which is half of the back panel, and for the front panel, you're going to take the number of rows that you've worked for the back panel divided by 2. So I've worked 48 divided by 2, these are 24. Then we're going to work a second one, which will also be 24 rows. So let's do that. I'll show you how to work one of the front panels, and you'll be able to work the second front panel and also the back panel once we've done one of them, because it's basically the same thing. So I'm going to get my main color. You can actually work with just one color or 2 or even more. It all depends with your preference. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, and my starting chain is going to be 83. Now the chain should be a multiple, it should be a multiple of 3 plus 2. So my multiple of 3 that I'm going with is 81. So I'm going to chain 81, then I'll add 2 more chains to get to 83. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are 81 chains. Count and make sure that your chain is a multiple of 3, so it could be any number that is divisible by 3. Then after getting the full length that you want, if you want it shorter, you can work fewer chains. If you want your shirt longer, you can work more chains. So I have 81, so I'm going to add 2 more chains to get me to 83. Then I'm going to block off the last chain and chain one more, then insert my hook into that chain that I'm holding, then yarn over and pull up a loop to get 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops to complete a single crochet, insert my hook into the next chain and do a single crochet into the 3rd chain, into the 4th chain we do a single crochet, and we're going to place 1 single crochet into every chain to the end. At the end of row 1, I'm going to have a total of 83 single crochets. So make sure that you get the multiple of 3 plus 2. So for example, if you're working with 60, you're going to have 60 plus 2, which is 62. If you've done another number like 66, you're going to have 66 plus 2, which is 68. So keep going with 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of row 1. I'm done with row 1 and it's time to begin row 2. To begin row 2, we start by chaining 2, and that is going to act as our first double crochet. Then we're going to turn, and because we have a stitch in the first stitch, we're going to skip it. So yarn over, skip this stitch, work into the 2nd stitch and place a double crochet right there. Then chain 1, yarn over, skip the next stitch, work into the one that follows, place a double crochet, then place a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, yarn over, skip this stitch, work a double crochet next, and another double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, yarn over, skip, double crochet, and then double crochet next, chain 1, skip, double crochet, and another double crochet. And that's the pattern that we're going to repeat till we get to the end of row 2. I'm coming to the end of row 2, and at this point I have 3 stitches remaining. So I'll chain 1, yarn over, skip 1, work into the 2nd last stitch, place a double crochet, then place a double crochet into the very last stitch right there, and we're done with row 2. Then chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. To begin row 3, we're going to start with a single crochet into the very first stitch, this one, place a single crochet, then place a single crochet into the next stitch. Onto the chain 1, we're going to place a single crochet into the next double crochet, into the next double crochet, place a single crochet, into the chain 1, single crochet, and then we're going to place 1 single crochet into every stitch including the chain gap, and we're going to repeat this to the end of row 3. So keep going with just 1 single crochet into every stitch. I'll meet you at the end of row 3. I'm getting to the end of row 3 and I'm in the last single crochet. So into that single crochet, not single crochet but chain, and I've done a single crochet into it. Then we have this double crochet right here. We're going to place a double crochet into it. Then we have the chain 2 at the end. Do not forget it, that's a stitch. Place a single crochet onto the chain 2. And from now on, we're just going to repeat row 2 and row 3 as we alternate. So to work row 4, we're going to chain 2 and turn. And row 4 is going to be the same as row 2. So after turning, we're going to yarn over, skip the first stitch because we have the chain 2 as the double crochet right there. Then we're going to work into the second stitch and we're going to place a double crochet into it like that. Chain 1, yarn over, skip a stitch, work into the next one, place a double crochet, then a double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, yarn over, skip, double crochet, and another double crochet. Chain 1, skip, double crochet, and a second double crochet. Now repeat this to the end. Then we're going to work row 5 the same as row 3. So I'll meet you as I come to the end of row 4 and I'll show you one more time how to do the row 3 and you'll be good to go. I'll meet you there. Let me meet you at the end of row 3. I'm at the end of row 3 and I'm just skipping the last stitch right there and then working the last 2 double crochets at the end. Row 5. This is the end of row 5. Is it 5 or 4? 4 actually. I'm at the end of row 4 and I've just completed the 2 double crochets. Then we're going to work row 3 the same, row 5 the same as row 3. So chain 1 and turn. Begin with a single crochet into the very first stitch, then a single crochet into the next stitch, a single crochet into the chain 1, a single crochet next, and place 1 single crochet into all the stitches till you get to the end. When you get to the end, do not forget to work onto the chain 2 that is at the end. So like I've mentioned earlier, we're just repeating row 2 and row 3. So the even rows are the same, that is row 2, row 4, row 6, row 8, and so on. Then the odd rows, which are row 3, row 5, row 7, row 9, are also the same. So I'm just going to keep on repeating those 2 rows and then I'll meet you once I'm done with 8 rows. So right now I'm in row 5. I'll work to the end of row 5, then I'll work row 6, row 7, and row 8. After row 8, that's when I'm going to add my contrast color or the other color. If you do not want to mix any other color, you can just keep going till you get the width of your back panel. So let me meet you at the end of my 8 rows and I'll show you what to do next. At the end of row 5, the last stitch is on top of the chain 2 right there. Place the single crochet, chain 2, turn, and start in the second stitch with a double crochet, and this is row 6. I'm done with the 8 rows right here, as you can see. So this is the length, this is the width, and after the 8 rows you're just going to, that is after the last double crochet, we're going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn. That is if you want to change the color. You actually don't have to change on the 9th row, you can change in whatever row you want. So after the 8 rows, I've cut off the yarn, pull it through, and then I'm going to turn to this side and grab my second color. So I'll hold it like this, get this first stitch, insert my hook into it and pull up a loop. Then I'm going to work over these 2 ends that we have here, just weave them in. So start by chaining 1 and go back into that stitch with a single crochet, work a single crochet into the next stitch, a single crochet into the chain 1 gap, into the double crochet, into the next double crochet, and into the chain 1, and then we repeat to the end. So this is row 9, and row 9 is just the same as row 3. So now keep going with the single crochet. Once you get to the end, you're going to chain 2 and work row 10. I'll work row 9 and 10, and then I'll be back. I'm done with row 10, and I'm going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn. We're only doing 2 rows with that contrast color, so pull through and fasten, then turn the work to this side and connect the main color. We're doing the connection the same way we did with the other color, so pull through in that first stitch, and then we're going to work over the short ends. Chain 1 back into the first stitch with a single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the chain 1, single crochet into the next double crochet, and then continue to the end. And I'm going to count rows from right here. This is going to be my first row, then I'm going to work a total of 8 rows. After the 8 rows, I'll connect the blue and work the last 2 rows to get me to row 20. So this is row 11, so I'll work up to row 18. Then after that, I'll work the 2 rows with the navy blue yarn. You already know we are repeating repeating 2 rows, the single crochet row and the double crochet row that has chain 1s in between. So I'll just work, and I'll cut off these ends that are left hanging at the end. I'm in row 24 right now, and this is the end of my front panel, one of the front panels. So I'll just chain 1 at the end and cut off the yarn, pull through and fasten. So we have one of the front panels. Like I showed you before, I've already done the other front panel and the back panel. So the other front panel will be 24 rows, and the back panel will be 24 multiplied by 2, which is 48. So if you've done your front panel or your back panel with 40 rows, let's say you've ended at this point 40 rows or 20 rows like this one, the other front panel will be 20 rows, the back panel will be 40 rows. If you've done 15 for the front panels, you'll have 15, 15 and 30. So do that, and once you have the 3 pieces, we're going to join them together. So it should be like this. This is the width and this is the length, or the full length of the shirt. Get the back panel and place it like this. Now this is my wrong side, so I'm going to turn it such that we have the right side on top. Now you cannot all fit on that on the screen, so I'm just showing you the upper part right here. Then we're going to get the front panels. We're going to get one of the front panels. Now this is the right side. You want to make sure that the right side of the back panel and the right side of the front panel are facing each other. You can have it like this, or I can turn it to the other side like that. So that is one of the front panels. This is the right side and the right side like this. Then you're going to get the other one and you do the same thing. So now I have, this is the upper part of my shirt, and I'm going to join on the shoulders on one side and on the other side. Now what you need to do is get that measurement. Mine was 20, and subtract 7 inches. You can subtract between 6 to 7 inches. So 20 minus 7, that gives me 13. So you're taking the width, divide minus 7 to get whatever you're going to get. In my case, I'm getting 13. Then I'm going to take the 13 and divide it by 2, and that will give me 6.5. So I'm going to measure 6.5 from one edge to the next. So from here, I'm measuring 6.5 inches like this. 6.5. So when I'm connecting, I'll come up to a point right here, which is a total of, let me count the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a total of 14 rows. Then I'll count another 14 rows on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to join till I get to that point. Then this other part remains open, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Count 14 rows on either of the sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is the 14th. So I'm going to join up to this point. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 up to here. So we'll join the shoulders on this part and on this other part. So I'm going to get my hook. This is a double crochet row, so I'll insert my hook into that row, and we have a single crochet row on the other side. Insert the hook into that single crochet row. Then I'm going to get the yarn. You can attach with a darning needle, you don't have to use the hook. So I'll get my yarn and slip stitch, then I'll chain 1, go back into that stitch and bring this end so that I work on it together with the other one, and do a single crochet into that very first stitch. Then the row on this side is a double crochet row, so I'm going to go into it, and then it will correspond with the double crochet. You need to make sure that you're working 2 single crochets on each of the double crochet rows and 1 single crochet on the single crochet rows. So I did the double crochet with the single crochet row, that is 1. Then I need to go back into the same double crochet row and onto the double crochet row on the other side and do a single crochet. Then I'll get to the single crochet on this side, but then the double crochet row on the other side I've only worked once, so I'll go into it again. If you feel like this is confusing, I would advise that on this edge you do an extra row of single crochets so that you have a single crochet row aligning with another single crochet row, the double crochet rows also aligning, so that you do not have the confusion while working this upper part. Otherwise you can use a darning needle. So now next I'll go into the next double crochet row, and now the next row on the other side will be the single crochet row. Place a single crochet into that stitch. I've just worked the double crochet row once, so I'll work it again, but then it will align with the double crochet row on the other side. Place a single crochet. Then we're going to get to the single crochet row and the double crochet row that I've just worked on the other side. Next we're going to go to the double crochet row on this side, and that will align with the single crochet. I hope that by now you know what to do. Go back into the double crochet row and the double crochet row on the other side, then the single crochet row on the front panel and the double crochet row that we've just worked on the back panel. So now keep going until you get to where the stitch marker is. So So the last stitch will be my double crochet row on this side and the single crochet row on the other side. So remove the stitch marker and do the single crochet row, chain 1 and cut the yarn, pull through and fasten. Now these ends are already weaved in, so I'll just cut off whatever has remained, get the darning needle, and I'm going to weave in this end into that single crochet row that I've just done. Then I'll cut off that yarn. The next thing that I'll do is turn to the other side and start attaching from right here. Now the good thing about this side is that the rows are well aligned, so we have the double crochet row aligning with the double crochet row on the other side. So here we're going to reconnect the yarn into those two double crochet rows, and we're going to chain 1, go back into the double crochet row with 1 single crochet, then again into the same rows another single crochet. Then that will get us to the single crochet row on this side and the single crochet row on the other side. Do a single crochet, then 2 double crochets into the double crochet rows that follow as we connect them. Then we have the single crochet row on this side and the single crochet row on the other side. So now keep going with this till you get to the stitch marker. Here we place 2 single crochets, after attaching both shoulders. This is what we have, and this is the wrong side, so we're just going to turn our work to the right side. So right there, and once we do, we're going to work the collar of our shirt, and to do that we're going to begin from this side, count 2 big gaps, 1 and 2, and start from this single crochet row right there. Insert your hook, then get the yarn and connect it at that point. Chain 1, back into that single crochet row and place a single crochet. Then in the double crochet row we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. In the single crochet row we place 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets next, 1 single crochet into the single crochet row, 2 single crochets in the double crochet row, and when you get to the corner you're just going to skip this part at the corner and move straight onto the row, on the row at the back. So just going to turn my work like this. So you want to skip the stitch that might be at the corner and go straight into the row at the back. If it's a double crochet, you're going to place 2 single crochets. If it's a single crochet, you're going to place 1 single crochet. So 2 single crochets and alternate to the next corner. So that's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. Then now at the back part we're going to skip the single crochet rows. Sorry about that. We want to reduce the stitches, so what we're going to do is place 2 single crochets in the double crochet row, skip the single crochet row and work into the next double crochet row and place 2 of them. Skip over to the double crochet rows, 2 single crochets, then 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets into the double crochet row, and we're only doing that on the back panel. Then 2 single crochets, skipping the single crochet rows, we are skipping this and working 2 single crochets right there. So we are done with the back part of the shirt. We're going to turn to this other side, and you want to work till you have 2 gaps remaining. So we're going to work until this last, this one, this single crochet row right here. So now I'm skipping over this part and working on this other side, 2 single crochets, and on the front panels we are working the single crochet rows. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochets, and finally this is where my last stitch will be, and that will be a single crochet. Then chain 1 and turn to begin the second row of the collar, and we're going to work a single crochet into the first stitch and 1 single crochet into all the stitches to the end, or to the point where we began on this front panel on the other side. So just 1 single crochet into each of the stitches. So this was my first single crochet, and it's going to get a single crochet, then chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. Again, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each of the stitches to the end. Then at the end we'll chain 1 and turn. I'm going to work several rows. I'm not sure how many, but I'll come back and let you know the number of rows that I'll have worked to get me to the length of the collar that I want. Right now I'm in row 3, and in all the rows you're just going to place 1 single crochet into each of the stitches. When you get to the end, chain 1 and turn, and always begin in the first stitch. So keep going. Let me do the rows, then let you know the number of rows that will be enough. I've done a total of 10 rows, and at the end I've just chained 1, and then I'll cut off the yarn. So now the collar is complete, and this is what we're going to have on that top part. We are not quite done yet, so this is folding in, but it's going to be okay. So when you fold the collar like this, that's what we're going to have. The next thing we're going to do is an edging, and the edging begins from the left hand side, from the bottom part of the front panel on this side, and it's going to go all the way up through the collar, then all the way down to the other side, to the other front panel. So for this one I'm going to work with the blue yarn, beginning from this very first stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, chain 1 and work over these 2 ends as you go. So go back into that first stitch with a single crochet, a single crochet into the second stitch, then into the third, and place one single crochet into all the stitches. I'll meet you at the top part, at the top right here, so that we can work the other parts. So just one single crochet into each of the stitches. At the stitch at the corner, and right there I'm going to place a single crochet, then I'll chain one and go back into the same stitch with another single crochet. Then we're going to turn to this side, so we'll place a single crochet onto that row, two single crochets onto the double crochet row, then one single crochet into the single crochet row, two single crochets into the double crochet row. Then we're going to skip this stitch and work on the rows that we've worked on the collar, the 10 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then at that point, chain one at the corner, that is, and go back into the same stitch with another single crochet. Then we're going to work through the corner, through the collar, the back part, that is. Place a single crochet all the way till you get to the next corner of the collar. So just one single crochet into each of the stitches. As you can see, I'm working over all the ends that might be there, just to make sure that they are weaved in. I'm in the last stitch at the corner, so I'll do a single crochet into it, then chain one, and I'll get onto the rows, which are 10, beginning in this one that we've just worked in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then on this corner we are skipping this part and working onto the double crochet row, two single crochets into it, then one single crochet onto the two single crochet row, then in the double crochet we do two single crochets, then at the corner we're going to do a single crochet, then we'll chain one back into that corner with another single crochet, and that will get us to the single crochets on the opposite side of the shirt. On the other front panel, let me show you. So right now we're here and we want to work one single crochet onto these stitches all the way to the bottom. So let me do that. This is what we have after that first row of single crochet edging, and I'm going to stop here with part 1. I'll meet you in part 2 as I show you how to do the buttonholes and also to do the sleeves. Once part 2 is ready, I'm going to leave a link below in the description box, so be sure to click on it and watch part 2. See you then. So this right here is after I was done with the first row of edging with the navy blue yarn, and we're just going to identify points where we're going to have the buttonholes. If you're doing this for a lady, the buttonholes will be on the left hand side. If you're doing it for a man, you should put them on the right hand side. So from here I'm going to count 8 stitches and mark. So you need stitch markers to mark the points where you're going to have your buttonholes. I counted 8 from the top, then in between I'm going to count 15 stitches, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side, that is if you're working for a man. So count 15 stitches in between the first stitch marker that you've attached, and then mark that point. So right there I have 15 stitches. I'm going to get another stitch marker, and I'm also going to count 15 stitches from the second stitch marker. So count 15. You can actually go with 10 stitches instead of 10 if you don't want the buttons to be so far apart. So right here I'm just counting my 15 stitches, then I'm going to mark the 16th stitch. So if you're counting 10, you're going to mark the 11th. I've just gotten to my 16th stitch, and I'm going to place my stitch marker into that 16th stitch. Then I'm going to get another stitch marker and count another 15, then another 15 going down. Right here I have all my buttonholes marked. So now we can start with the second row that we're going to work all the way around the front part of the shirt as you create the buttonholes. Beginning from the bottom, I'll chain 1. So chain 1 and turn, and we're just going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch until we get to the first corner at the end of the first front panel. So let me work till I get to that corner with 1 single crochet into every stitch, and when I get to the corner, I'll show you what to do at the corner part. So begin with the first stitch, place a single crochet into the next stitch, a single crochet into the third, into the fourth, and into all the stitches to that corner. I'm at the corner, and right there we're going to place a single crochet into the chain 1 that we did at the corner. Then we're going to turn to the other side and do a single crochet into every stitch till we get to the next corner. Now the next corner is an inner corner, and when we get there we're going to skip a stitch. So we always skip a stitch on the inner corners, but on the outer corners we increase, although in this row we're not increasing. So get to the corner and skip a stitch, then work into the next one and go on till you get to that second outer corner where we did the single crochet, chain 1 and another single crochet. So when we get to the corner, we're going to work a stitch into the chain 1 gap that we created. The chain 1 is not very visible, so be careful not to miss it. And right here I'm at the chain 1. I'll place a single crochet into it, then turn to the other stitches on the collar part and place just 1 single crochet into each of those stitches till I get to the next corner. When I get to the corner, I'll place my single crochet into the chain 1 and then turn to the other side and continue with 1 single crochet into every stitch until we get to the next inner corner where we're going to skip a stitch. So I'm working just 1 single crochet into every stitch, and I'm coming to that corner. So when I get there, I'll skip this stitch and work into the next one and place 1 single crochet into each one of the stitches before that corner that is just right there, and this is an outer corner, so we are working a single crochet into the chain that we had done. Then we're going to turn to the other side and start working single crochets into every stitch. We're going to place one single crochet into every stitch until we get to one stitch before the stitch marker. So when you get to a stitch before the stitch marker, you'll stop with the single crochets. So I have that one stitch, I'm going to chain 2, and then I'll skip that stitch and the stitch that has a stitch marker, then work into the one that follows. Then I'm going to pull out the stitch marker because I don't need it anymore. At this point you can get your button and try see whether it will be able to go through. So if your button is bigger than this, you might need to chain 3. If it is smaller, then you're only going to chain 1 and skip 1. If you chain 3, you skip 3. If you chain 2, you skip 2. Now continue to the next stitch marker and stop a stitch before the stitch marker. One single crochet until you get to one stitch before the stitch marker. So keep going with the single crochets. Right there we're going to chain 2 because we are one stitch before. Chain 2, skip 1 and 2 and single crochet next. Remove the stitch marker because we do not need it anymore. And then we're going to continue with this pattern till we get to the bottom of the shirt. So you're just going to work one single crochet into every stitch. When you get to a stitch before the stitch marker, you chain 2 and skip 2 stitches. Then continue. All the other stitches till you get to the bottom will just be one single crochet. So right here I'll show you one more time. I'm at a stitch before the stitch marker right here, so I'll chain 2, skip that stitch and the one with the stitch marker and work a single crochet into the next one. Then remove the stitch marker because we do not need it. We don't need it anymore. So now continue and I'll meet you at the end. I'm coming to the end of that row and I'll just place one single crochet into the last stitch, and row 2 of the edging is done. We're going to do one more row and then we'll be done. Chain 1 and turn. Begin in that very first stitch. So we're going to have a single crochet into the first stitch, a single crochet into the second stitch, and one single crochet into every stitch till we get to the chain 2 gap that we've made, or till we get to our buttonhole. So keep working the single crochets, one into every stitch, and at the buttonhole I'll show you what to do. We have 2 chains at that point, so we're going to go into the 2 chains and place 2 single crochets into the chain. Then we go into the next single crochet with just one single crochet and place one single crochet into all the stitches until you get to the chain 2 again. So just keep going with one single crochet into every stitch. So I'm at the chain 2 again. Right there, place 2 single crochets into the chain. Again, continue with one single crochet until you get to the next buttonhole. When you get there, you know what to do. Place 2 single crochets into the chain 2 and continue to the corner. I'll meet you at the first corner on top. I'm at the corner, and in that corner stitch we're going to do a single crochet, chain 1, another single crochet into the same stitch. Then we turn to the other side, place one single crochet. Sorry, I worked into a stitch that was not the corner, so I'm at the corner now, so single crochet, chain 1, another single crochet. Then continue with 1 single crochet into the rest of the stitches until we get to that first inner corner. And remember, in the inner corners we skip a stitch. So skipping that stitch in the middle and going straight to the next one, working 1 single crochet till I get to the next outer corner. Just 1 single crochet into every stitch. And when I get to that corner, I'll place a single crochet into the corner, chain 1, go back into the same stitch with a single crochet. Now on the upper part of the collar, place 1 single crochet into every stitch, and then at the corner we're going to do the same exact thing that we've done on this other corner right here. I'm at the corner, so I'll have a single crochet, chain 1, another single crochet, continue down with 1 single crochet into every stitch, and we're going to get to an inner corner where we're going to place to skip a stitch before we continue. So I'm coming to that second inner corner. I'm placing 1 single crochet into every stitch. When I get to the corner, I'll skip a stitch, so this one right here, and move into the next one, do 1 single crochet, and we're going to get to another outer corner where we're going to place a single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet. Then now from here until we get to the bottom, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch. So let me go on, work the stitches, that is 1 single crochet in every stitch till I get to the bottom. I'm coming to the end of that row and I'm just placing my last single crochet. Then I'll chain 1, get the pair of scissors and cut off the yarn, then pull through and fasten. And we are done. We are done with the edging on the front part of our shirt, and also the collar is done. So now we're going to work the buttons. We're going to attach the buttons before we move on to working the sleeves. And attaching the buttons is quite simple. You need to align your work, make sure that the buttonhole corresponds the point where you're going to attach the button. And to do that, you can count the stitches the same way we did. So on one side on top I had counted 8 stitches, but then I worked for 7. I worked for 6 before skipping, so I'm going to count 6 stitches from the top. This should be very simple. Attaching buttons, I believe everybody knows how to attach buttons. So you're just going to count the same number of stitches that you counted on the other side. Of course, the button goes to the opposite side of the buttonhole. So I'm going to count the number of stitches that I counted before the gap, and then I'm going to count the same number of stitches on the other side. Then I'll mark the point where the button will go. So right here I'm just marking my first point. If you've counted 6 stitches on that side, you're going to mark at the 7th stitch, because that is the stitch that will align with the buttonhole. Now the stitches that are in between the 2 buttonholes are 14. We had counted 15, but now because we were skipping before a stitch, we were skipping a stitch before the stitch marker, the number of stitches that have remained are 14, so you're going to mark the 15th, of course. Then you're going to count and mark till you get to the bottom, and then you attach the buttons. Very simple. So I'll show you how to attach the first button, and then you can go on, attach the other buttons. So get your first button and place it there, then get the sewing needle with some yarn, and let's get to attaching. I have my sewing needle ready, so I'm just going to get that point where I've marked and place my button there. Then from the inside, I'll go in with the sewing needle from the inside and go through one of the gaps, the holes on the button, then into another hole. Then I'll go back to the inner part of the shirt, and then I'm just going to tie a knot with those two ends, the short end and the longer end that I'm working with. I'll tie a knot, a tight one, and then tie a second one. I just want to secure the button before I continue attaching it. Then I'll go through the button several times. You already know how to do this. I believe you know how to attach buttons. So I'll go into the button and back onto the inner side. Then one more time through the holes in the button and back through another one, back to the inner part of the shirt. Then I'll do another round. So one more time, go through the button and back to the wrong side. You're going to do this repeatedly until you're sure that your button is secure. Then after this, I'm going to make two more knots. Then I'll cut the yarn, leaving a long end that I'm going to weave in later. I'll be weaving in that end. So now we have that button ready, and let me show you. It aligns with the first buttonhole that we made. So you're just going to get the other buttons and attach them the same way. So go on, attach all those other buttons. I'll meet you once I'm done attaching mine so that we can do the sleeves. I'm done attaching the buttons, and now we are on to the last part of the tutorial, which is doing the sleeves of the shirt and attaching them on one side and on the other side. So we are doing two of them. I've already done one of the sleeves and I did a total of 40 rows. This is standard for everyone. Like, we're going to make the sleeves the same exact way regardless of the size. That is, unless you're working it for a baby. So get your yarn and the hook, and we're going to start with a slip knot. Then we're going to chain 21. 21 will be the length of our sleeve. Remember, it has to be a multiple of 3, so I'll start by chaining 21. If you want your sleeves longer, you can chain more. Just make sure that the starting chain is a multiple of 3. I have 21. Then I'm going to add 2 more chains to get to 23. Block off the 23rd chain and chain 1 more. Go back into that stitch that I'm holding and place a single crochet. Then I'll place 1 single crochet into every stitch till I get to the end of the row. At the end of row 1, we should have a total of 23 single crochets. Now we are working the sleeve the same exact way we worked the shirt, so this should be simple. Row 1 is a single crochet stitch, single crochet row. Row 2 will be the double crochet row separated by the chain ones. So let me work 1 single crochet into my 23 stitches. I'm at the end of row 1. I've just placed my last single crochet. Then we're going to chain 2 and turn to begin row 2. The chain 2 is our first double crochet, so we're going to skip the first stitch and work a double crochet into the second stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, work a double crochet and a second double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, work into the next one with a double crochet and a double crochet next. Chain 1, yarn over and skip, do a double crochet and a second double crochet next. Then repeat the pattern to the end of row 2. 2 double crochets, chain 1, skip, 2 double crochets till you get to the end. At the end we skip, then work the last 2 double crochets in the last 2 stitches, one in each of the last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. We start with a single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the second stitch, single crochet into the chain 1, single crochet into the double crochet that follows, into the next double crochet, into the chain 1, double crochet, single crochet into the double crochet, and we repeat this to the end of row 3. We've already done this, so that's why I'm moving a bit faster. So just place 1 single crochet into every stitch, including the chain 1 stitch, till you come to the end of row 3. At the end of row 3 again, you should have 23 stitches, 23 single crochets. So I'm at the gap, single crochet into the double crochet. Then finally we single crochet on top of the chain 2, and turn, start in the next stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, skip, double crochet, and then a second double crochet. So we are repeating row 2 and 3 just like we did with the main part of the shirt until we have the 8 rows. After the 8 rows, we're going to change to the other color and work 2 rows with that second color. Then keep changing and alternating the rows until we get 40 rows. So let me do my 40 rows, then I'll be back. Right here I have my 2 sleeves ready, and we are ready to start attaching them to the shirt. So now we're just going to get the main shirt and attach the sleeves. Get the shirt and turn it to the wrong side like this. Make sure that you're working from the wrong side of it, and you need to identify the shoulder part of the shirt and the middle part of your sleeve. So this is my shoulder part. I'll get my sleeve and get the middle of it and mark while joining the 2 parts. So after 20 rows of the sleeve, I'll mark the 20th row and then align that row with the middle part or the part on the shoulders of our shirt. Then the 20 rows on the sleeve represent 30 stitches. So I'm going to count 30 stitches on the shirt, then join the 2. So let me count the 30 stitches from the shoulder part. So right here I'm just counting the stitches. I want to count until I get to 30. At the 30th stitch, I'll get a stitch marker and mark that stitch. Then I'm going to align it with the end of the sleeve on that side. So the last row of the sleeve should align with the 30th stitch on that side. Then we're going to turn to the other side, the opposite side of the shirt, and count another 30 stitches from the shoulders. So right here I'm just counting the 30 stitches. Get the hook and insert it into the 30th stitch, then onto the first row on the sleeve. Then we're going to grab the yarn and connect it. You can attach this part with the darning needle, but I'm going to do it with a hook. So slip stitch, chain 1, go back into that stitch and do a single crochet. Then we're going to go to the second stitch and the same row, the first row, that is the double crochet row. Then we move to the chain 1 gap, goes with the single crochet stitch on the other side. Then the double crochet goes with the double crochet row. The next double crochet will go with the same double crochet row on the other side. The chain 1 gap goes with the single crochet row. Then we have the double crochet stitch with the double crochet row. So both of the 2 double crochets will go into the same double crochet row, because remember the double crochet rows always get 2 single crochets. Then we have the gap aligning with the single crochet row, and we're going to repeat this all the way to the bottom part, all the way to the end of the sleeve. So keep attaching the sleeve this way. Make sure that you're aligning your stitches and the rows in the correct way, and keep going. So make sure that the single crochet, there are two single crochets in every double crochet row and one single crochet into every stitch. So 2 double crochets go into the same double crochet row. The chain gap goes onto the single crochet row. I'm at the end and I'll just do the last stitch into that gap, and it is going to align with the single crochet row that is on the sleeve. Chain 1 and cut off the yarn. We are done attaching that sleeve, so then we'll pull through and fasten, and this is what we have. So now we're going to turn to the opposite side of the shirt and do the same exact thing with the other sleeve. So count the stitches, align them, and then attach. So now you just need the stitch marker. I'll do this off camera, then I'll be back once I'm done attaching this second sleeve. You already know how to do this, so I don't need to show you one more time. So let me do it and then come back. I have my 2 sleeves ready. So now we are ready to attach the sides. On the wrong side, you're going to turn your work like this. Then we're going to start joining from the sleeve through the armpits, and then we'll work all the way down. So get a stitch marker and mark that the armpit part. We are just aligning the stitches. The stitches are the same. You actually don't need stitch markers for this part, but I like aligning my work just to make sure that I end up with something that is very neat, so that I do not miss any stitch. And if I do miss a stitch, then it's not going to be that visible, especially when I've marked. Then I'm going to get another stitch marker and mark the bottom part with the stitch marker right there. Then I'll also get another stitch marker and mark the middle part. So once I have my stitch markers in place, then it becomes very easy to make sure that I end up with neat work. So now beginning from the sleeve in the first stitch, which is the chain 2 and the double crochet on the other side, you're going to get the yarn and connect it. So get your yarn and reconnect it right there. Pull through, then chain 1. Now right here we have very visible stitches, very easy to connect. So chain 1 back into that stitch with a single crochet. I'm going to work over that end. Then next we have the next double crochet aligning with the second single crochet on the other side. The chain 1 aligns with the third single crochet. The double crochet next aligns with the fourth single crochet, and just keep going with connecting those corresponding stitches. Like I mentioned, this part is very simple because we are working stitches and stitches. We do not have stitches and rows like with the other, like with when we were connecting the sleeve. Here we are working a stitch with a stitch. So it's very simple to align your work. Just make sure that you're careful and you're not missing any stitch. So one stitch on this side with one stitch on the other side. Connect with a single crochet. Continue until you get to the armpits. Once you get there, you're going to remove the stitch marker and continue working the single crochets all the way down to the bottom part of the shirt. So let me keep going and I'll meet you at the end. If you're enjoying this video and you're not subscribed to the channel yet, kindly subscribe and join this family and check out the other amazing tutorials that are available on this channel. You don't want to miss out on any of them. We have tutorials on cardigans, sweaters, tops, skirts. After I'm done with this shirt, I'll be doing a matching short, so you also don't want to miss out on that short. Now I'll just keep going with the single crochets till I get to the bottom now. I'm in the last stitch, so I'll just pull out the stitch marker and place a single crochet into those two last stitches while aligning them, and then I'm going to chain one and catch off the yarn. At that point, pull through and fasten. Now that we have this side joined, joining the other one should be the same exact thing. So I'll go on, join the other part, and then I'm going to weave in all the ends. So now I need to join on this side. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'll get stitch markers, mark the armpit part of the shirt, then I'll mark the end and the middle part, then come back. At this point, I'm done joining the other side of the shirt and my shirt is complete. I've also gone ahead to weave in all the ends that are remained hanging. And so thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the tutorial. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, kindly leave a like, a comment, share, subscribe. When you recreate this, kindly tag me on Instagram and I'll be reposting your work. See you in the next tutorial as we create the matching shorts to this shirt. We'll also be doing a pair of pants, I guess, and even a skirt. So see you in the next one.